So let's start up. So let's call the meeting to order. And no, you don't want to call the meeting to order.
No, I was just
all good.
waving.
Okay, it's all good. You're allowed to wave. So it's 6:03. We'll call the meeting to order. Public comment period for things not on the agenda. Okay, we're good. Everything's on the agenda. Anyone want to add any item to the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what it is. The alternatives analysis on Bristol Flats, New Haven River. I can make that.
Bristol Flats, New Haven River. Will that count under park update?
That's
no. Okay. Right. Okay, we'll add that under, I guess that'll be new business, the second thing on new business then. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, great. And then that's it? That's it? Okay. Can we review and approve minutes from October 10th of 2024? Anyone have a chance to look at those minutes?
I did, but I wasn't at the meeting, so I can't say how accurately they reflect the meeting. So
does anyone else want to talk about that? Or do you want to table those to next time?
We could table. I didn't read them yet.
Okay.
Sounds like a wise idea.
We'll table it to next meeting. That sounds lovely. Okay, great. I don't remember having any official correspondence.
None in the mailbox.
Nothing in the mailbox. All right, great. And that brings us to new business. We're going to talk about the Seth Hill property. It's been exciting spot that we don't know a lot about, and we've had a lot of questions about it. And we have someone who knows a lot about it to share with us what's going on there and what is it all about. So if you would help us understand that, that'd be great.
I have a couple of slides.
Oh, now
Now
you
we're
give it to
pushing
me.
it.
Now. Oh, you could have done this sooner. Yeah. All right. Even though I can get it onto Zoom.
Do you start right in with the slides, or David?
Maybe
have a
maybe
chance
I'll
to
just
give
tell
us
you
a little lead
yeah,
into.
be happy to.
Well,
Yes.
she works her magic over there, Carolyn's magic.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I was raised in Vermont, and I went to UVM.
Oh my gosh! Hi, the Smiths just walked in.
Oh, goodness. And I had the good fortune of being the Addison County Forester starting in 1990. And so one of the things I got to do as the Addison County Forester was to take care of town forests. And one of my two favorite forests was the Waterworks over on Plank Road. I first there in 1980. And then Seth Hill, I think it was like 1982. And
each town has their own forest sort of person, or you were doing the whole county?
Oh, I was a county forester, and a lot of times towns have committees who can help with the management of the town forests and what have you. They're all different. They're very different and different orientations. So it's community forestry, like 101.
All right, that's how prepared I am.
Oh,
You
great.
can
Thank you
advance the
very much.
slides.
Wow.
That is fabulous.
I call that.
So
I mean, I'm kind of a professional PowerPoint giver, so.
Oh.
yeah, so I was really interested in forestry from a gazillion years ago, when my best friend's father was Art Heitman. He was the first county forester in the United States, and he came to Vermont in the early days with the CCCs, and they said, "Where do you want to go?" And he said, "Well, I'll scoot around." And he went to Addison County. He said, "I'll take Addison County." So here I am now. I was the Addison County forester now many years ago, and I knew Art in the late 50s. So I go back quite a ways. So I've always been really interested in forests and how forests work and and I've always been one of those that says, I think that water, clean, clear, highly oxygenated water is the premier forest product. And it's a great indicator of forest health. When the water's clean and clear and highly oxygenated and the peak flows are sort of moderated, you're probably doing a pretty good job on the land as far as wildlife habitat is concerned, as far as carbon sequestration is concerned, in terms of just basic resilience of the land. It's really, water's a really great indicator of how well we're taking care of forests. And I've also been really interested in forest ecosystem conservation far more than I'm interested in forest resource management. Because I really believe, as Aldo Leopold said, or actually, yeah, he would say, well, health is the capacity of the land for self-renewal, and conservation is our effort to understand and preserve that capacity. So nowadays, with the gully washing storm events that are coming, and these atmospheric rivers and all sorts of things, we have to tune up our game. And it's not like we have to cast negative aspersions on the past, because it's a whole new game. And things that used to work aren't working anymore because of the storm events that are happening. And Bristol witnessed it when the cloud came, I can't remember the year.
2004.
2004, holy smokes. That was, people were kayaking in the streets of Bristol.
Even earlier than that, right? It was 98. when you
98.
did the bridges.
Yeah.
98.
Took out the Twin Bridges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so some of it is the water's coming down, but really we need to have it so that the forests absorb the water and that there's an intact horizon. Forests that are healthy, really healthy, can take 10 inches of rain an hour and with a yawn, honestly. But like when Champlain came up the lake that bears his name, he looked at Vermont and he said, voila, verdant, not green mountains, verdant mountains, because they were spongy catchments and there was lots of organic matter, and the forests weren't roaded. They had some paths, but the highways were the rivers. And the forest was just pulsatingly green and productive and healthy. And then in 1790, when the settlers started pouring in, they started clearing the land. And by 1850, 80% of Vermont had been pretty much stripped of its forests. And the vegetation had been removed. More important than that is that roads were built, and the roads went straight up and down the hills. And I don't know that everybody agrees with this, but thank goodness Kristen's in the room, because she can keep me straight. But I think the roads are part of the function of, or part of the reasons why when we have storms, our rivers come up and they go down. I think we have very flashy rivers, and that if we didn't have all of the ditches that come down the hills, we might have a chance of slowing, spreading, and sinking storm flows better than we need to do that.
So almost conversely, like water bars on trails that take water and disperse it sideways, these are just directing it and gaining force and speed.
Exactly,
Okay.
just ditches that suck it right out. And so for years, I've written many management plans with Sethville, and there's sugaring up there, and there's some recreation and whatnot. And I always say, we gotta get in compliance with Vermont's acceptable management practices, but it's expensive. And it's not a high priority. We've done a little bit, and it's a beautiful place. It's an incredible place for recreation. It's a place where, starting in 1905, they got water in Bristol, 40 gallons a minute in this pipe that came down from there. That's beautiful, wonderful, clear, clean water. The Italian workforce dug the ditch down to the town, and it was a boom for Bristol, because a lot of people had little cisterns.
Yeah.
And in came the water. It was like, holy smokes, we can take showers today. And so it was a big deal. And so, it's no longer the source of water for Bristol, but it's so cool that Bristol has retained it. And it has this piece of land that's enrolled in the current use program. And because it's a town forest, there's things that are available to the town to do that maybe they're not non-industrial private forest landowners or family forest owners, as I call them, can't do while being in the current use program. And it doesn't cost Bristol very much, but it has this piece of land that is a gem that is surrounded by Forest Service. And it's a very, very sweet place that is kind of underutilized, which in a lot of ways is really great. So this last year, the Addison County Regional Planning Commission became the Clean Water Service Provider, QUISP, and they have a pot of money to do stuff that keeps phosphorus in the hills and not in Lake Champlain. And I thought, well, wow, what a fun thing that would be. So I talked with Mike Winslow and I said, what about Sethville Waterworks? Why don't we do something there? And he said, sure, why not? Let's try it. So we put in a proposal, put in a grant, and it actually flew through the review process. And very few forest land pieces are actually taking advantage of this. and I can talk about the mythology that might speak to that a little bit, but. So we put in for this grant, and let's see, how do I do this? I'll
You
start
just
with,
push like that left forward arrow and it should just click. There you go.
okay,
David,
So-
David, can you tell me who the grant money was from again?
it came through, it's from DEC, but it comes through Addison County Regional Planning Commission. And
Okay.
they're serving as the clean water service provider in this area.
Okay,
And so they're facilitating the grant processes for all sorts of different land uses and stuff. And this is the first one in Addison County that's associated exclusively with forest.
okay.
And so here's your forest. It's, it's a little over 120 acres, something like that. But it's on Downingsville Road in Lincoln, and if on the east, on the left side is where the road comes in from Downingsville, and you go through a little gate, and you can see that little green. I don't know, is there a pointer here? I don't need a pointer. So there's a little gray road that goes up to where the spring used to be, the spring box. The spring is still there. The box, the cover is no longer, the structure is no longer there. Then there's that yellow road that goes up. That's a road that is held by the Forest Service. Then all the little dotted roads that you see up through are all old skid trails. And they're regenerating, and they're what I like to call their rewilding. And in some ways, they're starting to slow spread and sink the flow. But many of them are dugways. They're still dugways. So the first iteration of my proposal was that we were going to find 100 spots throughout this little waterworks property that would be optimal place to put a water bar. Just get it so it would slow spread and sink the flow. Key places where you could make it so rather than having the water coming down all these roads, whether they're the truck roads or whether they're old skid trails, they'd go off into these little spongy catchments, and we would attempt to slow spread and sink the flow. And we've done this in other places and put in 85 water bars. We bought a piece of land from the A. Johnson Company, and we put in 85 water bars. And it's remarkable what it does in terms of the hydrology. So we did a lot of work assessing all of those skid trails and finding places for putting in water bars. But it didn't cut the mustard as far as funding, because they said, well, these roads are in compliance with the AMPs. And I said, what?
They want to keep them.
And I said, well, yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like, I've always thought, and I know that I helped them write the AMPs back in the 80s, that what the idea was to get the practice in place, not to wait for nature to do it. So, but when they were evaluating those skid rails, they said, well, they're revegetated, and I get it, because it sort of creates a bit of an erosion pavement, and the roots kind of hold things together. But it really doesn't do much to address the impacts from gully washing storm events. It holds the soil in place, but it still allows a lot of water to come rushing down from Lincoln downtown down toward Bristol. So, but it didn't cut it for this grant. But the roads, where the little gray road that goes up to the spring and the little yellow road are truck roads, and there was significant soil erosion there. And so they said, this probably will cut it. So we said, we switched gears and we went to those. It's about 2,600, 2,800 feet of road. The yellow road goes to the Forest Service. And the Forest Service basically has a status where they abandon roads. So they haven't done any management on that road to maintain the old culverts or anything for 30 years. And but I said, well, do you mind if we want to go in there and put in some tank traps and water bars and want to slow spread and sink the flow? And they said, great, fine with us, no problem. We don't have any intention of using that road, and go for it. Great. So we got the okay from them, and I talked with guy who's doing the sugaring up there, and he says, yeah, I think we can work with you on that and all that. So it took a while to get everybody kind of on the same page. And so we went through and did an assessment, and we found that there were 2 functioning water bars and that there needed to be 35. So, and we ended up having three different types of structures that we use. When the grade of the road is like 7% rise over 100 feet of run, you can do a lot of cool stuff, because you can put in these broad-based dips that you can drive a Cadillac through at about 20 miles an hour or somebody else's Cadillac. So you can kind of do that, and these are things that were devised in the Appalachians in the 1930s, and they work, like they're awesome. And they eliminate culverts, and culverts are horrible things to have in the woods because of branches, and you get storm events and they all plug up. They jam, and they're worthless in the woods. Whereas a broad-based dip takes road surface water, takes it, dumps it off to the side, and if you put in enough of them, frequently enough, you don't get enough volume and velocity to cause erosion, and you get to use the sponge.
Disperses. Yeah.
So in the lower gray one area of that, the area was a little steep for a regular old broad-based dip. So we put in like 8 or 10 broad-based dips, and then we lined them with crushed stone, so that you don't need quite as much of a dip, but you know that stone's going to lock in place.
These are speed bumps for water.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have, and the maintenance is like minimum, and they're just so much better than the culverts. Then you go up a little further and the road starts to flatten out. And let's see here. So basically this is like the AMPs are the acceptable management practices for maintaining water quality and logging operations in Vermont. There's a different title for it, but this goes back to like 1979 when these were adopted. And it basically said, if you this is what you need to do if you want to be in compliance with the Clean Water Act. I'm here to tell you there's nobody in Vermont that's in compliance with this, except for the town of Bristol on those two roads. Your road is in full compliance. I'm here to certify that. And so you can see there's all sorts of things. There's skid trails, and then there's truck roads, and then there's temporary truck roads. And that's what we were focusing on. We weren't looking on the skid trails. Maybe someday we will, but right now we focused on those truck roads. And you can see that it'll say, well, if the road is a 1% grade, you can go 400 feet between some sort of an erosion control structure. But as it gets steeper, like 10%, you can only go 80 feet. And if it gets up to 15%, you can only go 60 feet. And when it's 20 and 25, like some of the yellow is on that Forest Service road, you need a water bar every 35 feet. And so we have these three roads, different slopes. The earlier one that we put the crushed stone in, the latter one we're doing broad-based dips, and that gets you up to the spring. Beautiful recreational paths, super. The Forest Service road, the yellow one, we put in water bars, tank traps. You can't put in an erosion control structure on a 30% slope, 25% slope without making it pretty darn deep and pretty high. And you're not going to get cars through it. You can barely get ATVs through it because that's what it takes.
Right.
And so if you're serious about it, that's what you do. We were serious about it because we agreed to come up with a plan for a construction process that would hold in place for at least 10 years and maybe 20 years. And so we came in with a tracked excavator, and we checked out 3 different operators, and there's a lot of great excavator operators around. And we decided on Matt Atkins, and Chris Cram is he came from heaven. And he was riding a tracked excavator.
Oh yeah, he's a good operator.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so we had him, and it's a big machine. It was a big machine on the roads, but he could take your cell phone.
Oh yeah, he's got the
and we dug them down. We pounded the soil down. I mean, we made it so that it isn't just loosey goosey. It's rammed earth.
Right.
And we did them according to that spacing or a little closer, but basically it's pretty close to that spacing, and did all the structures throughout the place. And
quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you said you went in and did an initial assessment,
Yes.
was that based off of this? Like
Yes.
you're measuring the grade and then
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And so let's see here. So here was the old well, or the old spring there's Dave Henderson back in
I
line.
was gonna say, I'm like, is that Dave?
And so it's really, and it's still there except for the building. But it's so cool to see. You can see the hand done stuff,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful weir. It's incredible. It's a legacy, fantastic place. And look at that water, I'm telling you. And so this
That's
is
the
what,
spring right there.
That's the
That's where it's
spring.
coming out of the ground.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a deeply incised riparian zone, and the water just kind of like working down through it. It's magnificent, actually. And so here with the old here's some of the old skid roads. That's a piece of yellow or pink flagging that goes across from where the soil was on the left to where the soil was over on the right, and everything down below is where that's erosion. That's all erosion. And this is not a particularly significant example of the gully erosion that happened on this piece of land. And it's still happening, but it's not happening at the speed at which it once did. But this isn't something that we dealt with. Maybe next time around. They're kind of like that all over the place. But what we want to do is we want to get it so we slow, spread, and sink the flow and get it into the water or into the air so that the forest can be the sponge that it wants to be. Then they had old culverts back in the, and I'm not casting negative aspersions. I've got all sorts of stuff that I've done in the past that just didn't work out, but there's some things that didn't work out there, and culverts are one of them. They require maintenance every single year, and there's probably 12 or 14 of them that are plugged. So we replace those with broad-based dips or tank traps. And also, so this is the sugar bush. Don Gale's the sugar maker up there, and he's so careful and so thoughtful with the way he manages the woods. And there's these little vernal pools where you don't have roads. The place is just like it's just a spongy catchment, and it's wonderful. But where the roads are, it's not that way. But it is rich. The sugar maples just grow like crazy there, and it's a great place to be a tree when you're not in the road. And then this is the main road. This is what the main road looked like that goes up to the spring, and you can see there is no buffer. This is 100% in the riparian zone, and that's just the way it is. That's what we've inherited, and so we're dealing with that. But we did put erosion control structures in there. So these aren't exact matches, but on the left is what things looked like before. Things were, gullied out and eroding, and as I said, there were only 2 functioning water bars, and now there are 35. And then there's the tracked excavator putting in what's basically a broad-based dip so that you can go through the road. It's about 16 to 20 feet long, and it's about 18 inches deep, and it just kind of like rolls. And we packed it, so hopefully they'll hold up.
You couldn't have a very long wheelbase, so you could top out on that.
You
mound.
could, yeah. And the thing is, and so with that being the case, we didn't build it into the budget, but we brought in stone so that we could line the bottoms and the downhill sides of those broad-based dips with a stone. And that stuff works great.
Is there public access, and do ATVs try and get up in there? Any of that kind of
There's
stuff?
a gate, and there's not really, there's bikes, not many, but some.
Okay.
And on the lower roads that are relatively flat, I think that it'll accommodate bikes. I think the steep one, it won't tolerate that, but it's relatively underutilized. It's not utilized much. You can see here's again, there's the stream coming down through, and there's a road right to the left, and then there's that kind of advanced gully erosion, and we went through places like that and corrected it all. Anyway, so we put up this little sign telling about what we're up to, and a little bit about the project and how what we're trying to do, and it's a really, I think it has the potential for you as the Conservation Commission here in Bristol. First of all, it's an amazing resource that you should be proud of. And it's a place where we can demonstrate, where we could actually, monitor, we could wire the watershed, and then we can see storm flows and do more. It needs more in terms of erosion control.
Mhm.
And then the other piece is, if you do want to do something that's about recreation and stuff, do it super carefully, really thoughtfully, because it's tender. It's a tender place. It's beautiful soils. but it's not tolerant of poorly designed trails. Like 7% should be the top, that's like lines of grace rather than roads that go straight up and down. That's my one thing, it's an amazing resource. It can even get better, but if it's discovered and overused and their trails aren't in really good shape, I think it would not be good. So, and I've talked more than I wanted to, but that's what I wanted to, that's the story.
I don't know where we are in terms of the agenda and the schedule, but
We don't have too many things, but then some new things popped up, so we do 2 more minutes
My-
maybe? How's
my-
that sound?
sure.
10 minutes, all good? Okay.
My question is not exactly germane to this, but I'm extrapolating out and thinking, when we had all of those water events about a year ago, and you could drive up 116 out of Bristol, you could drive into Middlebury down the hill, and you see where they put that big riprap right on the bank there. There are just cascading events when there was so much water.
Yeah.
So some of it's obviously private land, some of it's public land, but it seems to me what you've done is trying to manage that situation on that small, 120 acre property. But these flash floods are happening and they're just pouring water down. And it seems to me like maybe they're just old logging trails that went straight vertically up. And then they just show themselves at the bottom,
Yeah.
almost like, they can't even delta, they just go, and then
Yeah.
they hit a road and then, this is happening all over the country in certain ways, but in terms of Vermont, I mean, you have a demonstration project there that could really be valuable for so many other, uses and
Yeah, and it's,
applications.
I think if we have 4.5 million forested acres in Vermont, if we added one of these, really effective, on average, one water bar per forested acre across Vermont, and let's say that they cost between $100 to $200 a piece, you're looking at something like $500 million to $1 billion. But it could have a very significant impact on the hydrology of the state. I mean, like when Montpelier floods, I say, well, okay, the water's coming from the sky, but where's the mud coming from? Wouldn't it be cool to actually go into like watersheds and actually independently, credibly assess compliance with the acceptable management practices? These things, when in place, are fabulous.
It seemed to me, they looked at the problem in the reverse. They said, we got all this water that lands here. Now we just have to have a way to, sort of spread it out. We need more overflow on the bottom of the tub. They're not thinking about how it's coming down from the hillsides and the mountains. And that's where your plan kind of really comes into play big time.
Yeah, it could be really, I think could be really exciting. And cost effective, because in the long run, we're gonna be having a lot more of these gully washing storm events and they're expensive. And so we have to rethink, like people like, I know up in Lincoln, they're trying to keep their roads in places and their ditches in places, so they're putting in stone. Well, that stone isn't like helping with the absorbing of the water into up there, slowing it down. And it's not like we're keeping the water from getting to Lake Champlain, but we're gonna have a hydrograph that looks like this.
Yeah.
Or we could have one that looks like this, so they spread it out a little bit,
Mhm.
and then it has much less impact. So,
I'm on board.
I mean, it makes sense, like trying to divert maximum force of water at its end course is like trying to mitigate that. At the bottom is you're up against all of Mother Nature's force, right? In the
I mean,
hydrology.
that capacity
versus
is
subduing it at the top,
yeah.
right?
I mean, it's important, right? Because you have wetlands and you have, creeks overflow and they provided layers of topsoil silting and so on, and that alluvial floodplains, et cetera, is important. But forgetting about the start of the process.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's a big oversight.
yeah, it's a good place to work on it. And like, this doesn't preclude harvesting timber, really, because it really isn't so much about the structure of the forest, it's really about the roads. And that's what they proved in the Appalachians back in the 30s. So we can log these places. I mean, they can't have super steep slopes and whatnot, but it doesn't prohibit logging. But you have to do it on access networks that are like 7, 8, 10% rather than, 18, 25, 35%. It completely changes the dynamics. And then we get the equipment that's small scale equipment, forwarders rather than skidders. And we leave a lot of the wood that doesn't pay its way out of the woods to rot, and you put it in good places, and you can, we could, I think, really have both I'm a strong advocate for more wild places, but I'm also a strong advocate for carefully tended forests where we get all the wood for the 24,000 houses we're supposedly gonna be building.
Ken Johnson could take over the second half of your talk on logging and why, the plans dovetail together, for sure. Where are we now with how this fits into?
Right, so I have a couple questions.
BCC.
So I would like to know about, where are we at with management plan on this property? Do we have anything in place?
So we've been typically doing, management plans for our town-owned parks.
Yes.
And this could classify as a town-owned park, but you already have a management plan in place for Seth Hill, right?
Yeah, it's a, I can send you the PDF of the thing and you can have it. And it's for use value. The plan is enrolled in the current use program
Mhm.
and it meets the specs and,
Has the select board approved that management plan, or is when I'm just wondering. what the
Valerie's
status is.
shared it with them and they have approved.
They approved it, okay, so to make sure, okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
good.
but it's
Okay.
basic. I mean, it's just a basic thing. And if you
Mhm.
wanted to do more with education and recreation and more slowing, spreading and sinking storm flows and
Mhm.
whatnot.
I don't want to speak for the whole commission, but it seems we have two categories. We have the recognized parks, and then we have some properties, the Fuller, the Saunders and so on, which we're not broadcasting, get out there and check out every square
Right.
inch of that property. And I think Seth Hill seems to fall into this second latter
Yeah,
category.
but to that
Yes.
point though, the Summers River Access, for example, has a management plan that says like, no overnight
Right.
camping and
Yeah.
different usages and the expectations, and we visit that every year or two and
Yeah.
check on that and make sure
But there's no parking.
that there's
Nobody driving out there.
there are rules about it, right? And it might be nice to have some things in place as opposed to, we could expand on now maybe the certain parts of the management might be like excellently done, and some part might not even be included, that we could just sort of put some text in there just to cover our bases on
Mhm.
some of those items that may have been overlooked.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to check it out.
It could be a mini Hubbard Brook, because I went to Iceland recently and you go to this little museum and you can look at all the major rivers in Iceland and you can see their flows.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just like
It's wild.
it's just like mind boggling. You can see where the water's flowing and stuff. It's powerful.
Cause they're all censored,
Yeah.
they're all,
There's so many of them.
yeah,
It's just,
That's pretty cool.
And they're monitoring them, you
Wow.
can see where the peak flows are and stuff. And there's a built-in weir, there's a bridge up there that is it could easily be a weir.
At Seth Hill.
At Seth Hill.
No,
Yeah.
okay. Well, and that's what comes to mind for me is that if we have Middlebury College or UVM folks looking for research locations, this could be a town sanctioned research area or something like that, if we decide that as a commission to.
So like, what would be so cool is to get base data on the current situation, like maybe get 5 years of it, just don't do anything more. I mean, we've corrected the worst erosion. And just get base data, storm flow and peak flow and maybe DO and a few other things.
Yeah.
And then do optimal conservation practices and see what's cooking up there, and see if you can actually detect the difference. Positive.
David, you're still connected with the college. Do you see some, in the geology department or other crossovers to?
Yeah, in
Sort of
fact,
connect.
we just got Dave Allen on the board of directors for Vermont Family Forest, so he's gonna be, and Chris Claus is on it, so we've got some connections with the college.
And I was wondering about that actually. So many of the slides mention that this is a Vermont family forest property. I'm just wondering what that means. And it also, the owner is the town of Bristol. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, what does it mean to be included under that umbrella?
It's really basically what it boils down to is like landlord, we have like 220 pieces of land that we work on, manage and what have you. And we show people, this is our optimal conservation practices, and people look at them and say, that's not for me. Or they say, we're into it, we buy into this. When people buy into it, they're part of Vermont Family Forests, and and then we have educational things and easy in, easy out, but the base the base for us is these practices for accessing and manipulating the vegetation.
To go into monitoring, stewardship and everything else, that's, okay.
Yeah,
So that's annually.
yeah. And we focus on what we call the ecological commons, which is stuff we all hold, which is like water, wildlife species richness we're really interested in, and carbon sequestration and storage, and then flood resilience. Those are like the 4 things that these practices try to optimize. And then let's get those in place, and then we try to, well, if we want to cut some trees or cut some timber or whatever, we like to do that too. So that's kind of what we're up to.
So we're part of that group then, or this property is part of that group. Is there like an annual fee or dues or any kind of formal relationship there?
What we have.
Just want to make sure we ask all the questions.
This is great, because we have 1,000 acres or so up in Lincoln that we own, that Lester Minnie Anderson bequeathed to Vermont Family Forest when they died. And we have structures there. We have barns. We have workshops. We have music. We have all sorts of stuff that we do. It's just, but really low key. So it's a place that's kind of like what we call it our hogback community college, just like really low key. We don't have sweatshirts yet, but it's just, and we do programs. We do game of logging and tracking, and we do certain work on, erosion control and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to see it be viewed as a community center that's available for folks and close to the land, and we're monitoring the land. We have 26 years of data on reptiles and amphibians and birds and mammals and a whole bunch of stuff. So we've got a pretty nice little data set, and we're trying to build that. Jim Andrews works with us, and a whole slew of other people. So it's like a little experiment, but it's tiny, and having like the town involved and the conservation commissions involved, or adjacent conservation commissions who want to have a meeting there. We have a wood-fired pizza oven. It's a place that's beautiful, and that's like that kind of thing.
Awesome. So just to be clear though, is the town of Bristol paying dues or any kind of management fee to you or your group?
They did.
I just want to make sure, because it's been very hard, because there's no treasurer right now, or hasn't been a stable treasurer for some time.
Budget information.
So it's really hard. I just want to know what the relationship
Okay,
is
so
there.
what we did the forest management plan as
Okay,
consulting foresters,
okay,
and they paid us for that.
okay, but there's not like an ongoing budget item we should know about, because we just found one for grant day we didn't know about, and so I just want to make sure we
Yeah,
have our ducks in a row. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
no, there's not.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, okay, so in terms of action plan here, can you get us a copy of the management plan?
Yes.
So, and Kristen will take a look at that, right?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. What else?
I appreciate the presentation.
Yeah.
You taught me a lot.
Oh, well,
Could
thank
we-
you. I've appreciated the opportunity.
Could we do a day, like a field trip where we go up and you could maybe show us the property? Not in November, but maybe in spring sometime? Do you know the
Spring.
property?
Would you?
Maybe if I'm available.
You're the guru. She's the,
Have you been there? Have you been holding out on us? Wait.
Kristen and I wrote a paper. I was the dirt forester, she was the professor. And it was a good piece of work.
Yeah.
And you know about all this stuff, and she knows all the details, so it'd be great to have just go up there and kick it around and talk about it. I'd be
Yeah, that'd
delightful,
be fun.
delighted to
Okay.
do that.
Maybe I'll put that as like something we put on our calendar for sometime.
And would you want that for the commission, or would you want to open that to the public? You've already hosted one, like, walkabout there
Yeah,
recently.
Yeah.
For the
Either way.
public,
yeah,
yeah.
so,
I just don't, if it's the town property and we see it all the time, and we
Right.
don't know what even is there.
Yeah.
It seems like we should know what's there.
Yeah.
So.
So maybe just for the commission in
Yeah,
the spring. Okay.
Unless it's too wet, we'll figure time out, but
I wouldn't wanna have to
You can see
skip.
what the water's doing.
exactly, yeah.
Also, I'm gonna do the game of logging for my chainsaw certification for the town of Bristol, so
Cool.
that insurance is covered
Yeah,
for any saw work I do on any of the parks properties. So if anybody else wants to join me in that, next
we already
spring,
signed up, yeah.
yeah, that would be fun.
Mhm.
Well, it's something to think about.
Yeah, it's always good to
Got a
have.
pair of chaps.
Yeah, I just
I've heard
got,
great things back.
Yeah.
Do you have chainsaws?
Find out I've been doing stuff wrong
I
for
got
a
a
long time.
chainsaw.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah, I
know how
need
to
to
ruin a
I'm making sure
chainsaw.
now.
I said I have a chainsaw and I also know how to ruin a chainsaw, which I'm not proud of, but I
Yeah,
spread the news so nobody else has to suffer what I did.
Well,
It's
Vermont
good to
Family
get
Forest
brushed up on
sponsors
it,
those.
yeah.
We've done,
Yeah.
we do 8 a year, game of logging, we have for 20 some odd years.
For those of us that don't know what game of logging
It
is.
basically, this guy Soren Erickson came to the United States about 40 years ago. And he looked at and saw what Americans were doing with Husqvarna saws and he went, that's sweet. I said, you wouldn't believe what they're doing with their saws. And he said, I'll put a class together. And it's a 4-level class it started out for professional loggers, but it's a 4-level class that turns you from being like a maniac with this thing to somebody who's safe. And it's wonderful. And the teaching is fabulous. And you learn about it and you can put trees where
You found right, exactly, you can mark it
drive
off.
stakes in the
drop it,
ground with
yeah.
it. And so if you own a chainsaw, you shouldn't use it until you take the game of logging class, at least level 1.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll change your life, I swear to God.
Or get out of bad habits.
Yeah, it's easier for people who have never held a chainsaw
Right, yeah,
to do it right.
sure.
So and that's something we do, and we'd love to have some Bristol Conservation Commission members take the class, because
Yeah,
it's,
I have to do it, cause there's
Yeah.
things I have to take care of on my
Yeah,
arch check
liabilities and-
weekly.
Yeah,
I mean, right now,
you get
Sycamore
trees
Park,
down all the time.
Sycamore Park is inundated on the secondary access
Yeah.
with huge trees.
Yeah.
Where it's gonna take multiple people,
Yeah.
coordinating
Yeah,
to get that material cut, bucked up properly, chipped and reused in some manner,
Mhm.
the wood
Mhm.
itself. yeah.
mhm.
And then the second phase to that down at Sycamore Park is just to have the scouts are gonna come down. I'm coordinating something with Bill Mount from Troop 543, so some kids can get their badges, so they're gonna do they can use hand tools and do light trail maintenance work.
Nice.
But the initial trees that are toppled over right now will be ground up into chip piles that we can use to make
Oh, for the
strong
trails.
substrates for the trails,
Cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's part of the plan,
Fantastic.
and what I proposed to you guys, last meeting.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much. This is amazing work you've been doing on this property that
Oh,
we've just been
thank
sort
you.
of ignoring all this
I really
time.
enjoyed it, and I'll get you, should I send it to you? I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, send to me.
File.
Yeah, that's
And I'll
great.
take that little.
Absolutely.
thing there.
I'll take mine.
And I'm disappointed you didn't have apple crisp.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, you do?
Are you leaving now?
He's old now.
No, I didn't really broadcast whether it was gonna be at the start of the meeting
Or
or
at the
now
end.
it will be at the end of the meeting.
I probably will scoop, but, thank you very much, and I really, I'm honored to have the chance to talk with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in touch and maybe we can do some kind of a field trip event and
Yeah,
see
really
y'all.
good.
It sounds amazing.
Super. Good.
Thank you so
Well, good
much.
luck
Apple
with your
Chris
work.
will not let you out.
Oh.
Sycamore apples.
Oh.
They were really good. I was fortunate enough to pick
Yeah.
a few on my first initial tour as Bristol Rec.
Okay, we've got 43 minutes to get to our typical endpoint. So we have a new item of new business, B, Bristol Flash, something, Kristen, something.
A brief announcement that, I don't know if you all remember, there was an alternatives analysis proposed for a 1.3 mile section of the New Haven River from Hewitt Lane Bridge downstream to the A. Johnson Mill.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
and so that funding came through for that, and that project is now starting up. And John was a part of that. There was a kickoff meeting about a week and a half ago, maybe at Howden Hall. And so that project is underway. So spread the word if folks know of people that live along that stretch of the river. They're looking for feedback from landowners where they've had flooding impacts in the past or erosion trouble spots, that kind of thing. And they're gonna be doing a computer simulation of the river flows in that area and simulating the influence of various mitigation projects. And so that span of river includes Jono's property. It includes A. Johnson Mill. Ken Johnson was at the kickoff meeting.
Oh, nice.
So it's about a year-long project with reporting probably around this time next year.
Do you want us to check in on this project occasionally, or?
I'm the liaison for this commission to
Okay.
that project, so I'll just keep y'all updated.
Okay, what would I call this?
You could call it the Bristol Flats Alternatives Analysis, maybe.
Okay,
That's how they
Titled it.
Bristol Flats Alternatives Analysis, okay,
they
and
published it that way in the Front Porch Forum, so.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that as a
They-
standing item that you can update us on, that's
Yeah,
not appropriate, okay.
they meaning the Addison County Regional Planning Commission.
And this is downstream from the Saunders River access?
No, upstream,
Okay. Okay,
from the Hewitt Lane Bridge downstream to the A. Johnson Company property.
okay.
Yeah,
Including the A. Johnson property.
including, yeah.
Cool, well, I'm so excited that came through, it's been a long time, I
Yeah, it
feel,
took a
since
little
we've heard
while.
about it, yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, old business, so we move on? Okay, first item, Conservation Commission membership, the BCC has a vacancy for one new member, and I had a delightful email exchange about this. Noelle, would you like to say hi?
Hi, everyone. I came in for a couple of meetings, what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago? I don't even remember. Really interested, but my schedule just wouldn't let me join at that point. But I would love to continue the work with you guys. I think what you guys do is amazing, and I'm extremely passionate about our natural, the land, the wildlife. Yeah, well, thank you. My brain blanked out completely, but I'd really love to do this with you. So
Wonderful.
Right, and so Noelle, I think I saw that you came to 2 meetings and then
Okay.
got approved by the select board and then resigned. Is that how you remember it happening?
It's
Something
possible.
like that?
Yeah, it's possible. My schedule was just crazy at that point.
Oh,
with my,
no, totally, it's
with
totally
my
fine.
work.
So I
Yep.
asked, the town clerk about it,
Okay.
and they said, since you resigned, you have to do the paperwork over again. Had you not resigned, then it was just on the books for years, but I guess because you resigned and we removed you, you have to do
Okay.
that volunteer form again and then talk to select board again.
Okay.
Which seems a little bit silly, but,
That's okay.
so that would be the plan then, if we wanna move forward.
That puts us at full capacity.
That puts us at full capacity for the first time
Wow.
in
Oh, look at
pre-COVID.
this.
We haven't had full capacity since before COVID, yeah. So it'll be pretty exciting. Does anyone else have
Yeah.
questions for Noelle?
We're delighted.
Welcome.
I need to submit.
If you want to be on the commission, but you don't need to be on the commission, we currently have an opening.
Well,
So-
Let's rephrase that. It would be a very great opportunity. to-
But then we would have 10.
I mean,
We have
I
9.
don't,
I'm just
I
saying,
don't know if
like,
we have a limit.
We do,
That's it?
we do,
No,
because
9.
for me to join, who was
Oh,
it?
somebody
Dave
stepped down. Dave
Rosen
Rosen
stepped
stepped
down
down.
for me to join.
Yeah.
Are we turning
Mhm.
people away from the Bristol?
That's-
We're
Conservation
about to turn
Commission?
Aiden away, yes. If Aiden's gonna come anyway.
turn him
well, I
away.
mean, I'm gonna come anyway, because I feel obligated to come because I manage the parks.
You're absolutely honorary.
So,
This is what happens when you start.
I
bringing
mean,
applicants
it's
from the
important to
public.
be thorough, right, and go through the processes of any, cause like, I guess that's a different conversation.
Right, but we only have vacancy for one member right now
Right.
who is a Bristol resident.
So it's fine, I'm just,
Would it be okay if Noel joined and then you came to meetings anyway, because you come for your job anyway, but we
right,
just
that's,
like, you're
that's
just,
fine.
but you're part of the club, but we just
Okay.
don't like have you be part of the quorum, I guess.
That's
And
fine.
we never vote on anything anyway, right?
No, I mean, it's fine, I just, we had talked about it before, so. in the
Oh, I didn't
last
know you
meeting,
wanted to do that though.
right,
I
but
thought you
couldn't-
said no.
Well, I didn't, I kind of left it open-ended because I needed to,
Okay,
was even newer then
okay.
to my department, and obviously.
Do you want to go ahead with this? Do you want to take the spot since you
No,
have
no,
the
no,
jump
no,
on
it's,
Noel?
it's,
Okay,
we don't need to split hairs over it
Okay.
right now, like it's we can consider it as a formality, not to make
okay,
it seem like it's not important, but.
okay. So how about, I mean.
Yeah, because I don't want to
you
take a
see-
spot from anyone that.
No, this is fine, this is
These are
fine.
good problems to have.
This is the best, we haven't had this problem in 6 years.
Like, you just think of it as a proxy, I'm a proxy to it, right?
Okay.
Or we find a whole nother one and then it's 11. And it's still
Yeah.
odd.
Yeah, I think what we did was there were 2 spots available
Mhm.
We
6
could
years
change the
ago.
bylaws. If we wanted.
I don't think we need to. Someone's gonna leave. And we never keep this many people very long, right?
Actually, I
Like-
think within a year. Well, in terms of the 3 years, because I re-upped, so I'm
Terms will come due.
term,
Yeah.
yeah, 3-year terms.
Yeah, I'm sure in April, people will feel the need to move on or something. I don't think, so when I joined, there were 2 spots available, 3 people showed up, and then Dave said, well, I don't even care. I'll just come to the meetings and
Yeah.
stop voting for the minutes, which is all that would be different, is the only motion we ever approved. So he just came to the meetings for years,
Mhm.
but then holes started opening up, and then he joined back on,
see.
so.
See, my
Yeah.
understanding is if you wanted to step off, you had to find somebody that would step in, so now I know that Aiden could be
Mhm.
ready for,
Well, I think because of COVID, we were down to 3 people during COVID. It was rough.
is that right?
Yeah, it was bad news. So, this is,
joined.
I know, that's when
Yeah.
you joined. We're like, please.
We almost doubled our membership.
I remember you were
One
like,
fell swoop.
and you were like, wait, are you a twofer?
That's, yeah.
I'm over here taking minutes and I'm realizing I don't know Aiden's last name to even say that.
That's Lenahan, Lenahihan.
Uh-huh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey,
Okay, so are we okay with that? And you'll just wait and you'll get on
No,
as
I
soon as
just,
someone else
I
pops
just
out?
thought I'd just bring it up because I wasn't.
I didn't know you wanted to do it. I thought
Yeah.
that was more of a no,
Well,
sorry.
no, it was just, I left it, like I said, I just left it open because brand new to my department,
Mhm,
so I have to like, just see my frontier, before I start, I
Well,
don't
this is
want.
an unusual problem for us, but as I said, I think that people come and go with regularity.
I would be very happy to be the Dave Rosen of this
See,
situation.
look what just happened.
I'm
See?
notoriously unreliable anyway, and it would be best maybe if I just could show up sometimes.
We can table it and we'll come around to it.
It'll
I don't-
come
I don't-
around.
We don't have to eat up any more.
Okay.
The minutes.
Okay, well, I appreciate
No,
that.
no
Sam.
worries.
Okay, wildlife corridor project. I didn't do anything I was supposed to do, even though I said I would.
We've got
So
more
we can
cameras
just
out.
move on. You got more
carrying
things,
on.
great,
Yep.
okay.
We got some wicked cool bobcat footage from Bristol.
Really?
Yeah, we put a couple cameras on video setting on our game trail there on the north end of the pond. And I've had a bobcat hanging out around there for most of the fall. It's been really cool watching him wander by on video.
Nice.
Hunting season, I've lost track of this entirely, but at some point over the next couple of weeks, Sam, Alexis's student who's been helping, and I are gonna meet back up and hang a few more cameras up on our Notch Road spot. So when that happens, I'll put out that signal and anybody who wants to hop in can. We're built, this is an area that we've had cameras last year, but have not gotten around to getting back in there. I have one there, that is on one of the trails we were monitoring, but, we'll put another couple back out and onward and upward. all in the effort to try to get a full year's worth of data out from these spots.
Do bobcats go by any other name? Is it, because I'm thinking there's Fisher cats, there's.
Fisher cat's a whole different.
That's a different thing.
Right.
It's not a cat. Big-
Bobcat that's on the restaurant sign, is it kind of a, is that kind of the one?
Yeah, he's got little funny ears,
Okay.
but he's. It's not a perfect rendering, but that's the cat, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll share that video on the email, it's pretty.
Oh, yeah, nice.
There's
Yeah.
still one stuffed in the back near the coffee station, in the Bobcat near the bathrooms. There's
Oh, all
one
right.
stuffed up there. You can check out. You just have to look up. It's
To
hard
read
to see because you're focused to go into the bathroom.
It depends on how urgent.
But if you're standing in line, just and you're looking around and looking for something interesting to look at, you can look up and be like, oh yeah, look at that. There's the stuffed one
I
right
will
there.
be checking that out.
Okay.
Yeah, I was supposed to talk to the planning commission and I just didn't. So I have a Post-it.
It's
It's been
hunting
on my desk for a month and I have not sent that email, but it was hunting season.
Yeah, we've all.
So I was aware of that.
I
the
did
whole
reach
month.
out to Andrew LaRoe at the Regional Planning
That's
Commission.
also
like I
my
was
note,
supposed to.
yeah.
He got back.
You always do the thing you're supposed to do. You always do the thing we're supposed to do.
That was too fun.
He got back and
I feel like I'm
said
watching Saturday Night Live or
they
something.
could help us.
Oh,
We
nice.
just have to figure out what we want them to do.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay, well, I'll send that email out this month probably, and then we'll keep that conversation going. Parks updates? We good for parks updates?
This meeting helps me realize I don't laugh enough.
Anyone for park update? We got a lot of perks. You
I
already mentioned the Boy Scouts.
I ordered signage from WorkSafe, which is what the road crew managers use for signage for the road signs. And they put together a proof and it's now to order. One sign says, notice town of Bristol Memorial Park is closed.
Nice.
The other signage is for Sycamore Park. That is your classic brown with a red O with an X through it with a camping, no camping and no park. It says no camping and no parking overnight. So that signage will be erected as soon as it comes to my office. Yeah.
You did some work on the playground.
Oh yeah, I did some work on the playground with
Tried to get in there.
with
Oh, no.
with Bobby Stoddard. So me and Bobby donated his time in kind. And we went through and did repairs to primary structural footings and railings. So it's rock solid now. The second phase would be replacing the ladder, the aluminum ladder that's cut to.
It's got character, I like that.
Cut to
It's better than it was.
Bobby's like, you did what I could do on the fly. So it's robust and it's safe and it's been working, but that will get replaced in the next year. Or in the spring or summer. And I will be using a product called Eco, which Bobby referred me to, which is 100% non-toxic mineral product that you add water to and you can use on a brush or spray application on a live edge open grain structure such as the one we have in the park, and it'll leave it'll grate in a nice patina and it doesn't peel or flake. And it
And
keeps
kids
it
can
from
chew
check,
on it.
and it keeps it, yeah, kids can chew on it, and it keeps it from checking.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's something.
Is
to
it
be-
penetrating?
Yeah, it's penetrating, yeah.
You're talking flood, right?
It's called Eco. It's a little different than Flood, from my understanding. It's a mineral spirit, comes in a powder form. And you just put water to it and stir it up, agitate it
Wow,
real good, and
hadn't heard of
then
that.
you can apply. I've never used the product before. And
Use that for park benches and stuff?
yeah, you can use it, imagine it penetrates similar to like tongue oil or teak or something of that nature.
Wow.
Like I've never used it before, but Bobby says like, this is what you use when you need a non-toxic application on a public space where children play. And they're
So
like using
that's
it,
the
and
thing.
he said it's a big, it's like the go-to product they use in Canada for their parks. And Canada obviously, well, I guess obviously has a more stringent, rules around what you can use.
Great for kids that are hungry and chew on wood.
Yeah, exactly. So, that'll be implemented at some point.
What's the durability, period of length for when they say you have to reapply the product?
I haven't gotten into the detail part of that, but the same thing with the chips, like it has to be non-toxic. The chips that we have to get, as well for to replenish for the park area, for the play area, have to be certified. So I'm keeping in that rigid vein of like, it has to be non-toxic.
You don't do
And
the
it can't be
flavors.
So you can't
horrible.
get them from Sycamore?
Yeah, so exactly,
Just
so
throw 'em over
I
to
can't
the-
I have to get them, and there's only like one, from what Meredith told me, there's only like one vendor that has certified chips. And it's intricate, vendor. Like
No flavor.
it's a scheduling, yeah, it's a
No flavored
scheduling
chip.
and timing and amount and price and that whole thing. So I'll dip into that when we get through the wet season. Mud season, we'll be applying new chips and putting more resilient product on the surfaces of the structure.
And they'll just go on old wood and the new stuff?
Yeah, and
Just the whole
and
thing.
I guess it patinas it in a nice gray, so it'll
Start to
it'll all
match,
match the stuff that's there right now, because we put new footers in, you'll see, and new vertical railing and new cap railing, and tightened and squared up a few things to make it robust again, and easily, robust enough to easily swing off of it and
Yeah.
feel like it's gonna be good to go. So
Excellent.
that's where we're at.
Cool, so that's the town park, and then Sycamore, you said the scouts were gonna do some work up there,
Yep,
right?
and I sent out that update in terms of what I talked about the first meeting was, we had the road crew come down and strike down a lot of the Japanese knotweed. And the second phase of that would be to get a machine down there to excavate some of the larger crowns and bushels of knotweed that are coming up through the green mowing area spaces. And then that would be like, strafing the ground with an excavator and pulling the root system out, and then taking that and transporting it to the parking lot. And I talked to Brett LaRose in regards of burning it there in the parking lot, and he was fine with it. So that's my only understanding of how to mitigate.
How do you get all the dirt out
knotweed.
of the roots?
We just, well, it comes up in a
God.
pretty like spaghetti fibrous thing, and then the excavator would just shake it out, and then we would let it dry out, and then in controlled burns, and just burn it away. I mean.
And are we inviting the public to the
Well,
bar?
yeah, I know, Meredith was like, oh, let's have marshmallows, and like some stuff, like making that thing, but, it'll take many hands, just in general. And then again, the secondary access path is just, it's impassable. There's huge amounts of sycamores that are uprooted from wind bursts and microbursts and all sorts of climate change things that have been happening, events have been happening lately. So that's where my games of law comes into play in terms of getting down there. I did mention it to John Swepson, because we are gonna do our spring walk through the park and check out certain issues with certain trees in terms of deadheading and limbing. And also the ash tree is gone at the top, across from the Baptist church.
And where that's got it, or?
It's been dying for a while, so that tree has been removed. And then there's plans for permitting to install a new tree. And Chris Urban will be the vendor for that tree and installing it. So if
A
you
new
go,
ash?
no, a different species. I don't have the specifics on that because it's still in process
Mhm.
through the select board. But yeah, that tree's gone. That sad old tree is gone now. So if you get to the top of the park where the Baptist church and the road is, you won't see it. It's right there to the right. So, adjacent from the playground. Yeah, it's gone. So.
Wow, quite an
Yeah, I
update.
was there twice in one day and it was there in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Something's
Wait a
different.
second.
Something's different. What is different? Yeah, that
It
tree.
took me a while to realize that there was a fresh stump.
Yeah, because there is a couple other stumps right in that area. So, yep. I think that's all I got.
Eagle? Saunders River access? Anyone?
Eagle Park, the railings are done.
Oh, wow.
So they're now removable, so they're gonna come out, somewhere around this time for the winter. And the public will not be allowed on the platform, we'll see how well that goes. And then they'll be reinstalled in the spring, but they're able to be removed if we have advance notice of a big flood coming. That's
And do we know who's going to remove them? Was that resolved?
Eric Coda, right? And then
Okay.
maybe you, I don't know,
I'll touch base with them.
yeah,
That's new information to me.
yeah.
So, I'll shoot him a text and see what the
Yeah.
deal is.
Okay, and then those are the ones that we picked up and like moved to become the barrier, is that
Yeah.
right? That's how it ended up going in, okay.
Yeah,
No, I remember that in the planning stages, but I didn't know if that was,
yeah.
that finalized
So-
like that.
All that work is now done and complete
Beautiful.
at Eagle Park. It only took since the Halloween storm of 2019.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well,
I
thank you
was
for all your
pregnant,
time.
I was pregnant with my 5-year-old that day.
That's Yeah, 5 years. It was
Yeah.
fast.
Okay, so accessible design for town parks, any updates there? I saw there was some emails, I wasn't able to click and read them today, but.
I sent them to everyone.
Yeah.
There's 3 concept designs, one for Eagle, one for Memorial, and one for.
Do you wanna
Sycamore.
show those?
Should we
I can
pull
look
them
for
up?
it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll look.
Were they much different from the last ones?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
were a
these are
bit-
some
yeah.
more,
I didn't like A/B them, I looked at them and I was like.
right, right?
Mm.
And so the design team at Duane Kane said, if anyone has feedback, then reply to me on that email and I'll make sure Dan gets it.
I was wondering how you all knew about this apple crisp thing, apparently I was emailed about it.
Yeah,
Look, it's like go time in the semester, okay, I'm doing my best here, okay, let me, share my screen.
Kristen, while she's pulling that up, just sharing that with somebody else, they said bike paths, bike racks rather. And what was the other, cause I didn't see that. when
no,
I
there were
looked
no
at
bike
those.
racks.
Yeah, and, gosh, what was the other one?
Okay,
Let's see if I can remember it.
Yeah.
Bike paths, bike racks, rather.
Well, now I'm curious about all the water diversion Cadillac bumps that gotta go in there.
Yeah, so this one is Eagle. They want to regularize the parking area with some formal handicap access signage and ADA accessible spacing. So that, there's space next to a vehicle to get a wheelchair out and moving. What you see in gray is like an asphalt path planned. And then in green, there's some secondary paths that are more of a turf, reinforced turf, I believe is the
Yeah.
term they use.
Yep.
And then there are stone slabs that are projecting out kind of in the southwest corner of that view in toward the river, so that the idea would be to that an aide could help someone who is differently abled make it down to the river on those stone slabs. And the one that you see off the fishing platform, there's marked there this idea of a lift, which was an idea that came in from a lot of the outreach meetings they did. and like they attended Harvest Festival and other festivals here in town, and people promoted the idea of if there could be a lift that would get someone down to the water, assist someone to get down to the water. My comments back to them this morning in the meeting were, I don't think that's the right spot for a lift, because it gets hammered at least once a year, sometimes multiple times a year with flood debris.
Mhm.
And I would just worry that the lift would get impacted by flood debris.
Yeah.
So maybe there's another spot that lift could be placed, but I love the idea of the lift. I just think it would last maybe a year and
Yeah.
it would get destroyed.
Yeah, there would be a high.
It's a lot of money
Yeah.
for 1 year.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know. I don't worry about the
And
asphalt, much less the
And to
lift.
specify, I believe the stair path system is 5x5 slabs.
That's what I was wondering, is like, what's the erosion plan for all those slabs that eventually are just gonna get all cockamamie?
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the water does come up.
How deep is that slab?
That area right there in particular, it takes a beating.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But they were pretty substantially reinforced, weren't they?
The stones by the platform,
Yeah, I thought, I mean, that's just.
those are
just
in
as
good
bad.
shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are reinforced.
Yeah,
You're talking about down.
I was thinking
below
down here.
that
Yeah.
area? Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
One other item that's there is there's a concrete pad for a toilet that would be like a portalet. And that's up and out of the floodway so that it wouldn't be subject to flooding. But there's a lot of discussion around, does the town want to invest in a portalet at that park? Because then
Somebody
has to maintain it, we have to pay for it. And at Sycamore, right, they put trash in the portalet.
Oh, yeah,
and
it
so
ends
it's-
up becoming a receptacle,
Yeah.
and then it gets to be a gross affair,
It's
so,
gross.
yeah. So to put any bathroom in any park in this area that isn't like in a downtown scene where there's public view,
Yeah.
you're gonna get nefarious activity, in general with, in and around having the accessibility for the toilet.
And that was Meredith's point, I think, this morning, was like, we'd rather see one in the town green
Yeah.
where it's publicly.
Yeah,
There's a
well,
bunch of people.
that's where it'll be most
Yeah.
functional, because there's always eyes and ears
Yeah.
around.
Yeah,
So people are held to being
being adults.
You being
Yeah.
adults, exactly.
Also, at
So,
Harvest Fest, it just feels right that
Yeah.
they're there. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't this always be?
yeah.
Well, already we have the problem with people taking household trash and putting it in the garbage cans, and
Yeah,
Right.
just a couple covers boxes will overflow the whole garbage
Right.
can if people don't stuff it right, and you
Right.
know.
So now
It's-
that's
Have
it's
to
hard,
roll the
yeah.
covers box like, on that and jam it in, like a real Bristol.
not necessarily advocating it for this, but like, does anybody know the effort of, like, if you go to a big national park and they have like the latrine style toilet, right? Which is a big old hole, septic tank type thing.
we did on the walkabout here early in this project, talk about a composting toilet.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it would be less expensive to maintain in
but I
theory,
guess if we're throwing trash in a composting toilet.
but
it's-
someone would probably throw trash in
Well,
the
Yeah.
toilet.
So from a parks management perspective and from the recs department's overall, like, optics on it, it's not really the best idea.
Like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, if it already doesn't work at another park.
Yeah, but you could put signage at the kiosk that says public restrooms available at the town green, or
Yeah,
something like
or-
that, so
yeah.
that people had
Mhm.
that knowledge,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think a lot of things when I was talking to Meredith after the meeting, just to recap, we discussed on just implementing a paved parking lot with a signage system that's, very present anywhere at any of the parks. It just creates an official,
Makes it more formal.
yeah, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It makes it more formal, so then people are more, it just changes people's behavior. Like, if it
Little
just
bit more
kind of just
respectful.
looks like a little off the way, like little park over here that maybe nobody really
Mm-hmm.
takes the time, or their perception is that way, of somebody who might
Just to
do
pull
something
off.
not so well, right? they're gonna do, you know, in Sycamore Park, that's where I spend most of my trash picking time, every week, and I fill a bag of trash every week. Just, and most of it's just in the parking lot, because it's like, the look of it, for some people at night is like, yeah, that's a dump spot, you know?
Almost
So,
could have added a
but if you,
surveillance
Right.
cameras.
but if you
Throw a
add a paving, you know, you pave it and you make it more formal, I think that'll change that approach
So
for people.
this is Parks and Rec psyops, basically, is what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
I mean, yeah, I'm there every week, so I
I
spend a good chunk of time. I spend, you know, 3 hours, 4 hours of my day, depending on how much trash there is, and then just driving, doing my loop, as I call it, to make sure everything's good to go. Yeah, so.
This was Memorial. We talked about, I guess, the biggest thing here is like, making the entry to the parking area more safe. Right now, there's like a horseshoe, and the plan would be to limit that to just a singular entry exit point that would have a little bit better line of sight, so it's safer. Again, paved parking area with accessible logos, and some picnic area benches that would be accessible off the parking lot. And there's just, with the topography there, there's not a whole lot else that can be done to make that park very accessible, except we have talked about the second access off of Guthrie Road, and a overlook deck that would allow those that are mobility challenged to come down and see the waterfall. And this morning we talked about maybe that's a two-stage improvement at this park, focusing on the parking lot first, and then in a few years, or more than a few years, looking at this idea of the overlook deck off of Guthrie Road, because there are still some unanswered questions about the right of way through there, how the neighbors would feel about that. And just kind of the logistics of doing that. So that was the feedback we gave them this morning, was like, maybe with that, this park could be approached in a two-phase effort.
Kristen, looking at the sort of more towards the top right, the entrance, and originally it was the horseshoe, then there was that washout that happened, and I couldn't really tell how that was getting repaired, but it says with one of the green, it says restored turf grass. Now, to me, that would be the natural access point, because you have better lines of sight. Because if you take the one that's further to the left, the grade is steeper and sharper there, and you really have very little access, and at 50 miles an hour, more or less, it's really rough. So I thought it was to be the reverse, block off the one on the left and just use an in and out for the one on the right, because as it is now, either side of the horseshoe was accessible before the storm event. And I don't know where they fixed things and how they left it, and from what I can tell, the future plan looks like the right is now gonna be blocked off and the left would be the access point, and I think that should be reversed.
I think it's
Yeah,
right in the middle.
right in the
isn't it?
middle,
Yeah,
yeah.
that confuses me.
Maybe they're gonna
Oh,
block
so the
both
middle
legs
is,
of the horseshoe.
so it's the green, thank you, so,
Yeah.
all right. I'm sorry,
And it,
X edge of parking lot, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank
People
you,
just
thank you
won't
for helping me
drive
see
on the
that better.
historic turf grass. I guess.
Okay,
Like up with those big boulders, people put up. right?
Yeah.
got it,
Like
okay.
when they do logging, right, and they're like, don't go back in there anymore.
Yeah.
I still think they should have moved it more to the right.
The
but
other
anyway.
thing to consider too is that there's a right of way for the neighbors adjacent property, they own the right of way to be able to access their machines from one side of their property through there. So the birth of that has to stay within accessibility for the neighbor, because the neighbor.
So those cut,
On that side?
At the
Or
end
on
of
the-
Guthrie Road.
At the end of
Like
Guthrie,
Guthrie
yeah,
Road.
right, it's something, I don't know if we had really discussed that, but Valerie brought up in the notes. And
Okay.
in regards to,
the cutouts there for parking.
yeah, in regards to the cutouts, but
Good point.
that is a gifted easement of
Yeah.
access, so it needs to stay.
The same with,
It needs to say what it is now.
Did she post that to the meeting notes? in the
I'm not sure,
chat or
I didn't
something?
get to check the notes, I just saw it after the meeting, just
Okay.
where in our correspondences and
Okay,
terms
got
of
it.
it.
Got it. Yep,
So,
cool.
Good.
that's
Next one?
that's a real tricky part to.
Yeah,
That's
manage.
what
This is a lot harder for me to envision. than
Yeah.
Memorial, frankly.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate sounding curmudgeonly about it. Like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
So,
True.
I also kind of half wonder, looking at this, what David Brin would think of what we're doing in terms of, I mean, that property may be so darn steep that there's not much you could do to mitigate
Right?
rainwater dispersal, but, we're doing exactly in some ways what is
Advocating
advocating
against.
against.
Yeah.
But maybe,
for sure.
maybe there's a way that some plan like this could be gone over by him or someone like him to figure out ways to,
Review it. The topo.
to add water bars in such a way that we spread it out, but it is, it might just be so steep that it's a moot point in there, it's so.
I mean, the
doggone, it's just a
topography there is
cliff.
pretty, as I would put it, gnarly.
Yeah.
It's, I go down there to make sure the caution tape is
Still
secured
there,
again,
yeah.
and it disappears because people go down there. And I just go back and I pick up what they ripped off and put it back up. But I mean, that sad fencing is pretty much flat, and late at night, if you're not paying attention and you're being silly, you could find yourself in a very dangerous situation or dead.
It's good that you've got that new sign on order.
Yeah, it needs to go up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it's closed.
Yeah.
It's
Right,
not.
and then I think we should make sure, like, any mention of the website, like, anything online says like
Yeah.
this park is closed, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Just in case.
Yep.
Okay, and the last one is Sycamore? Yeah. Yeah, similar, I mean, I think the asphalt loop you can see in the gray.
This one's gonna be, you're right, sorry, I'm gonna have to download this one.
Yeah.
That one's not gonna work. Oh.
Technology.
I know. Okay, I didn't like that.
So kiosks was the other, and there's obviously a kiosk at Sycamore.
Yeah.
There is
One at Eagle
one at Eagle, but Memorial.
doesn't have one.
Right, and it's closed, so that was, and then interpretive signs was the third, so it doesn't really fit into the accessibility,
Okay, there you go.
sort of format,
Mhm.
but.
Kiosks.
trying to think, interpretive
Interpretive
signs,
signs, okay.
yeah.
Is that an asphalt path?
That is an asphalt path.
Yep.
That loop. So it kind of goes toward the Edith Stock little circle with the evergreens, if folks know that spot, and loops back around. The parking lot that's now gravel would become paved, and more formalized as a parking lot. There's some benches there and picnic tables. In my comments in the chat, I'm let them know that that parking lot has flooded in 2011, 2016, 2017, 2019, 2023,
That's why it's a park and not a
2024.
mobile.
And so anything there would need to be aware that water was gonna overtop. And then also when it floods really high, it goes down a channel, which you can see from the topography there, but it might be hard to see in this room anyway. there's like a channel, a secondary channel. And so that asphalt path would need to somehow have a culvert crossing of some kind to convey that channel, which will increase the cost of the path. And then it would be a maintenance thing as well.
What do you think about asphalt as a
I was just gonna say-
hydrologist? Yeah,
After
this
this
is
whole
like,
conversation we just
right?
had, and then you look at that, and you say, and then the water has to go somewhere.
well, it's
It's
permanent,
impervious.
it's permanent, it's impervious, but I mean, this is what we had at Eagle though, when we put down the slab and then it just like eroded around the edges of it, like, is that what's gonna happen to
Oh.
asphalt in that regard? Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think that Eagle's a little different situation. I think because Eagle just gets hammered with
Yeah,
it's in the high water
Yeah,
zone,
yeah, yeah.
basically. Whereas this is out of the ordinary high water.
but it
channel.
would be in the high water zone, what was that, like
But
8
maybe
of the last 12 years you just
maybe-
listed?
Well, for the parking lot, that was.
Okay,
We don't get water coursing
The
down
sh-
through that
doesn't
channel
go,
until,
okay.
you know, like a 10-year storm or something
Okay.
like that, every
do we
5
last
or 10.
have water there in Halloween?
December 2023, we had water there.
Oh, that's right, I remember
I
that.
have
That's right.
photos of
Mhm,
that,
yeah.
so, and it has a little more energy, it's a higher energy
Mhm.
flow, and so we would be concerned probably about the path.
Mhm.
And its maintenance. What else came up at the meeting, I can't remember.
It would be very hard for me to get behind an asphalt path,
Yeah,
like, unless the rationale was so strong. That's more recent iteration, right? It's just put in there
Yeah.
since the last time, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they were talking about packed dirt before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about-
it's also just maintenance if we have it open, we talked about in what you were referring to, we talked about plowing.
Yeah.
So, Eric and the boys, like, they need to be able to swoop in there and swoop out in a timely fashion to keep on their plow schedule. So any markers or anything that would be sitting above grade would have to be flush, or it would have to be implemented in a different way in which not to rip it out of the ground with a plow. And then in terms of more asphalt, that's kind of an extension walkway from the parking lot, right? So then we're talking about
do we plow it?
hand
Yeah.
shovel maintenance, snow blowing it or whatever. If we're gonna plow it, then you're kind of opening up, you have to continue the access.
Snow
If
blower.
you have if you have an asphalt path. So again, more maintenance.
But like that first one, right, if you minimized it and moved those slabs over, you'd still have ADA access by the picnic tables or whatever, right? But just leave that one little bit and still.
Yeah,
river
Yeah.
access.
I think a larger course is not a good fit.
I think the trouble is that all these parks are in flood, they get
Right.
flooded, right? Like we need, well, like this would work really well at a park, like our number one thing over and over is like, but what about the water, right? Like
It
every
would work
time.
good in like a town green.
Right, town green would be great, yeah, exactly.
I
yeah.
think of all the parks, Eagle Park might be the best place to have to allow asphalt in some way, because that's high enough up that it rarely floods. I mean, it really has, last time it flooded was probably 98, and before that 76.
And 98 was when it was bought out.
98, it was bought out after
Okay.
98, yep. And so that's like a 20, if, you know, although we could probably expect.
Wait a minute.
But of all the parks, I think it's a high enough elevation that it might be fine, might be okay. But here, I agree, I have trouble understanding how asphalt would survive.
Yeah, and just asphalt as a substrate in general has a shelf life before it starts to get crumbly on the edges and then it starts cracking. Kids are picking up chunks and kicking them across the lawn, and then the mow guys are hitting it, and, you know, all that stuff, that just is going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I like the flow of Eagle Park. I definitely think you could use more, you know, robust, parking and signage and infrastructure, but in terms of a pathway through open green space that's relatively flat and, you know, if anything, maybe more ADA access on the slope going down into the open field, flat area would be good, because you do have an access path out over to the dock, and then you come down, the grade is pretty defined as steep grade, so it would, I mean, that's where I would prioritize some design attention into just making that more of a graceful entry and exit.
What's the machine called again? It's basically just kind of sort of levels out. It's got the rollers on it and, you know, any unevenness. What the heck is that called again? Can't remember. But my point would be, you define some sort of a, I like the fact that you can walk into Sycamore and you can just meander and go where you need to go.
Right.
But for a wheelchair and accessibility, that's the whole theme here. It can't be, you know, potholes or just
Right.
slight undulations. It needs to have some smoothness. So wouldn't there be a way to accomplish that? God, I can't think of the machine, but when they do excavating, they take that machine and then they just kind of,
It just grades it.
yeah, tamps down rocks, it just kind of, you know, hammers it out.
Yep.
And so it seems to me you could designate sort of maybe in the periphery of the spaces, a way that that's all, you know, pretty well smoothed out. And then all to do is it is part of the cutting lawn maintenance program. I don't know, I like to go low key before you start getting into low tech.
Right, oh yeah, I totally agree, and you know, you can also, you know, aerate the grass with an aerator to make it more, you know, slow and soft and make it so it's more malleable. So.
Yeah, I just remember, you know, we have the Eagle platform and it needs maintenance, there's all these problems, right? And I remember going to a select board meeting where we were like, please, can we have money? Or please, can you fix it? There was this whole thing. And the select board saying like, okay, but like, just this one last time, gentleman's agreement, we're not gonna fix it anymore. And everyone's kind of like, well, we can't, like nature and no, I didn't choose to put it there, but we got it now, we gotta keep fixing it, you know. And it felt really awkward about that. Well, like we have no control over it, and to put something new in that we already are worried about just seems like a really bad idea, right? So I don't like reconciling that. Like obviously it'd be great, but like the maintenance and how we're gonna deal with that when we in a floodplain where we know it's gonna flood. You just listed all those flood events, right? It just feels like not a great plan. And I don't know what the select board has said about these sorts of plans too, since that's what they've said to us about Eagle already, right?
Yeah.
That like, okay, but don't do any more nonsense, you shenanigans, you know, like.
Well, no, I do think that if the platform got seriously damaged again in a future flood, that would be it.
Yeah.
No.
It was not gonna be repaired again.
Yeah.
And the way it's angled, like right into the center, you know, like it's basically just saying, take me out at some point.
Yeah, but it's great too at the same time, to be able to access to go swimming, it's great. You can't have your cake and eat it too in the geography of these zones.
Right.
So you have to kind of find like where
Happy medium.
where the happy medium is. I think having a robust parking space will mitigate a lot of trash issues, and it'll define it more and make it more formal, as you said, and attract more people. I think building an asphalt path and trying to make it more universal access for everyone in a floodplain is probably not the best approach.
Like a really active floodplain.
Really active floodplain. Like we have to. I feel like other than the parking lot, I think that anything beyond that really needs to just be, like you said, simpler. And you pack the dirt, you make the grade, and then when Mother Nature says, "I don't want that anymore," it goes away, and you're like, "Well, that wasn't, huge sums of money just
Yeah, and you
going down
you
the
grab that
river.
machine back out
And
there
then
day
having, you know, excavator contractors be like, yep, there's your, whatever you called it. And then they drop it in a pile and it goes in a can. and
Okay,
disappears.
wait. How accessible did those paths look at Seth Hill? We just saw those images, right?
Right.
Those are pretty packed, right? Could you get down? Would
I
that
don't know if
be the
they're
solution?
wheelchair packed.
I don't know. I've never been there. I was just looking at the
It's
images
steeper
today.
than, I've been in there a couple times. It's
Yeah.
steeper than it looks.
Oh, is
It's
it?
not a wheelchair country.
Damn it.
but It's wild wheelchair country.
I just thought maybe it could all come
It's
back.
wheelchair country going.
He
down.
had roads. We just
Oh,
saw
it's-
them.
it's not a wheelchair country.
Yeah,
As a person goes down there every day, to these parks every week, or more than once a week, sometimes depending. Yeah, at the end of the day, like, I see it in a specific.
I think the path, as it's outlined, you know, is sort of reasonable. It's hard to really,
But it could be a packed dirt path, maybe.
Which was, again, that was the
Yeah.
original plan,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Is that, I think we all were kind of on board
That
with
was
that
definitely
idea,
the
one.
right? Compacted gravel and.
it might have been more helpful to have some of the landmarks.
Okay,
in
thanks,
there,
Ellen.
like the, that hedge circle where that's, you know, and a couple points within the path to know where the path was taking you around, because
Mhm.
there's the broader field with a little mini orchard. There's, the more direct but narrower sections to get out to the river. And
Yeah,
I'm not very well oriented looking at this, other than sort of vague notion of seeing where the green paths go off from the asphalt
yeah.
and having a general idea. So I don't know, that would help me a little bit better, but I think the basic idea of the location of the asphalt path is not probably bad.
Mhm.
You know, if somebody was gonna sort of say, all right, I'm on a wheelchair, I'm on some sort of, I mean, you gotta remember too, like, let's say it was really asphalt, like, hey, bring my, skateboard down there, or what, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
As soon as you start smoothing a surface, different
Right.
things happen, right?
Right, yeah, it attracts a certain person, but that's why we're gonna have a killer skate park.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I will try and make a better effort, because I have, my schedule has not lined up as much as well with
Their meetings,
Dan's
yeah.
meetings. Today I was up in Burlington, I couldn't do it. So, but I think the feedback at this stage is critical, and I'll see if I can help along with Kristen to convey what has been spoken about at this meeting.
Okay.
Cool, and so you'll summarize our feelings.
And
for
send
that
it to
group?
Dan.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I make a motion.
No, you can't.
We can't?
No,
It's getting late.
I don't, well, very quickly, bookkeeping.
Okay.
This minutes thing is getting ridiculous. Our minutes, our agendas have been posted, but our minutes have not been posted since January of 24. They just get mailed and then not posted. So I talked to Gail today, who talked to Sharon, and then Sharon said she looked through her clerk email and she hasn't received a single minute in a year from us, which I don't know if that's possible. So what I was thinking is maybe, Zaylee, I think
Am
you
I
have some of
sending it to
them.
the right one,
Well, maybe it's you,
'Cause
but
there
or could
are
it be you
two
and Helen?
that
Here's what
I-
I thought. What if you send it to me? Helen sends hers to me. I make one file and I'm like, please do this. And I copy like
Okay.
everyone in Holly Hall on it. And then
Clerk-
someone will
clerk-
post it.
Clerk and.
And town
And
and
town.
probably
Yeah.
Ann
It's clerk and
Elvinson
the-
plus
clerk and,
select board.
I believe
Yeah.
Gail's is assistant.
Cause I had
Oh.
always sent it to, I thought I was sending it to
Yeah.
the one that I'd always sent it to. But
I-
maybe the,
I
I'll
don't
send it to
know.
you. and
I
you
don't know
can-
how all of a sudden they stopped going through, but I know
Yeah.
that Helen also has said she sent them multiple times, like 3 times each. So
Okay.
something's falling apart here.
Okay.
So I thought I would, if you just give them all
Sounds
to
great.
me, I'll make one big email, I'll list
I'll
them,
text you about that right
and I'll just forward them all to clerk, town, and Ian, because he's done website stuff for us before. So maybe he'll just post them for us. It's just getting ridiculous with being out of
Well, and if
date.
we can get the sort of the receipt email of, so, you know, like when, and then it gets posted for the agenda, we hear that back from Sharon or somebody.
Yeah.
Likewise with the minutes.
Yeah, it sounds like
that
things have been
get
really,
posted
really
into
busy
the
lately, and so I'm
website.
not like
Yeah,
trying to
I'm
blame
sure.
anyone. I just
Sure.
wanna make sure that we're like in compliance for open meeting
Oh, yeah,
laws and stuff.
yeah.
I know it's been really hectic and
Yeah.
hard lately. But, you know, 10 months is a lot, so I wanna make sure that those do get up. So I'll tell Helen that she already had jump off. Zaylee, if you can send me what you have.
Yep, sounds good.
The last one that's posted was January 11, I think, of 24. So we need like February, March, and then I think she has April, I'm
Yeah, then I have
guessing.
a couple.
And then you have a couple random ones, yeah, so
I'll look back through.
beautiful, thank you. Okay, now you can say what you want to say.
We're all done. Okay, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Anyone want a second? All those in favor?
Hi.
The motion is adjourned, whatever, I always say it
Child asleep
wrong.
on a porch branch.
It's,
The meeting is adjourned.
it's after
This is very
Halloween.
long. All right, thank you, Zoom people, I appreciate you coming.